The RV Show USA is brought to you by Rockwood, building better RVs, making smarter RVers.
He's your radio guy, knowing just what to say to listeners of the RV Show USA.
All right, everybody, we are back with the live stream of the RV Show USA, the most listened to, most talked about show on radio and social media about the RV lifestyle, as we steer you away from trouble and connect you with the very best folks in the RV industry. On the RV Show USA guest line from PPL Motorhome's mothership location in Houston, Texas, we have Diana LeBlanc Link on with us. Has it been another busy day at PPL, Diana?
Oh, it has been. I love it, and I'm so glad to be with you guys.
Well, likewise. So when we spoke last week, you talked about security and the importance of making our RVs difficult for somebody to steal. I know we got some other things to talk about, but what are some of the things that we can do or products that we might be able to get that will make a would-be thief think again and try to find an easier target?
You know, some of it is as simple as, like I mentioned last week, that we talked about a coupler lock. It's a lock that goes on your hitch. I'm talking towable trailers right now, but there's locks like that. I was watching some things on a YouTube station, and there's even locks that you can put on for your wheels that lock the wheels into place. A simple chain lock that has it chained to something close to there. I told the story last week about the young couple that got back from their hike and their little teardrop was gone. The people left the rug and the patio chairs, but the teardrop trailer was gone. So
that's just awful, you know. And you mentioned that wheel lock. I was thinking about that after we spoke last week. You know, they're not the cheapest way to go, but you can get one of these boots, and I actually looked it up on your website, pplmotorhomes.com, and you sell them. It's a couple of $100, but they are bad to the bone, strong. And if a thief sees that, there ain't no way. He'll say, you know what, that's too much work. I'm going to go to somebody else's RV.
I think that's true, and I think that's really what we need is something that makes them not it's not as easy for them. It's not as easy a target for them. And the whole thing is trying to figure ways, especially with so many people now owning these smaller trailers that are less than 4,000 pounds. They can be pulled easily. And we just need to protect those because if we pull them easily, so does the thief. And guys, there are not all that many thieves out there. It's just there's more RVs out there now than there were before. So there's more people that are targeting that market just because we're talking about it all the time.
But you know what, Diana? I think that, in all seriousness, if an RV gets stolen, the chances of it being recovered are pretty slim compared to an automobile. I mean, you can hide an RV, take it to a deer lease, or take it. I mean, it's going to be hard to get that RV back, I think.
You know, I hear of very few that are ever recovered, and the ones that are usually destroyed. They've been used and abused and abandoned somewhere, and it's unfortunate. I'm sure it's the same way with cars, though. They get stolen and used and abused and abandoned somewhere.
There's a market
but
for
one
them.
thing, guys.
All right, so the main thing you want to talk about today, though, is being prepared in the event of an emergency. And I don't know of a person who is more prepared for anything than RV Nana at PPL. So what are you thinking?
Well, before we say that, Alan, can I remind people to buy insurance on a towable travel trailer? They think that the insurance is on their auto, but it doesn't cover that trailer if it gets stolen. So make sure you buy insurance on your trailer.
Oh, good. Good info there. Really good.
What do I think about preparedness? Oh, my gosh. You know, I think you have to be prepared. You've got to think about whether it's storms or who would have ever thought we'd have to be prepared for COVID-19 and that we'd ever have a shortage of toilet paper. I mean, I've always had an emergency preparedness kit, but it didn't have 48 rolls of toilet paper in it.
Right, right. I mean, and there's, like you said, anything from weather to a health pandemic to, like out in California when the fires, took out those beautiful neighborhoods, people that had RVs came out better than the people that didn't. So there's so many uses for RVs, but you got to be able to, have them prepared for the event of a catastrophe.
You do. You've got to think about all the things that you need. You need to make sure you have the bottled water and all the things that you would have in your regular emergency preparedness kit inside. But have that. Have the batteries that, extra batteries for everything, especially for a weather radio if we're talking weather problems. Make sure you've got chemicals for your toilet. If you're out somewhere, the last thing you want is to not have any chemicals for the toilet. You want to make sure you've got that. You've got extra hoses if you have to connect. One of my favorite stories is you evacuate for a hurricane and you go to stay at your mother-in-law's house, and she's got a regular amperage service right there at her house, and you've got a 50-amp RV or a 30-amp RV, and you have no way to reduce that service to plug in. So you're stranded in her house for 2 weeks or whatever.
So buy a generator.
Buy a generator. That's it. That's the one thing. That and the little bottles of propane, those are two of the things that we sell more than anything at this time of the year.
Do you have a list? You're the list lady. You have to have a list of suggestions, an emergency prepared list that we can maybe put a link up here. And yes? No?
Yes, I do. I have several lists. As a matter of fact, if you'll go to rvnana.com, I have lists for the list, just about. I have a list for packing. I have a list for emergency evacuation. I have a list that you need to keep in mind for these emergencies. It's a list of the essential papers you need to have with you. There's so many documents you need to have, and you shouldn't be fumbling around when a hurricane or a fire is coming to go find those. You need to have those documents all the time in your RV.
Diana, every smart RVer, every pilot that I know that's flown for many, many years, everybody that knows how to do it automatically, they also are a list person. And the reason they are is because they realize how easy it is to be on autopilot and forget something. And so your lists are so critically important. And, I found that making a list can be pretty cool. You can, sit down with your spouse, open up a bottle of wine, and in 30 minutes you can talk about the what ifs and make a little list, and you'll figure out where you are and what you need to do to get things together. And it's kind of a fun thing to do.
It is a fun thing to do, and it's also so important that both of you, the whole family, understands what you have to do to be prepared. If you're the only one who knows what has to be done, and heaven forbid something happens to you, you want to have a book, a journal, a list that they can go to and figure out how they can step up and take the action at that point. And, I laugh because I make a grocery list every week. 50% of the time I forget to leave the grocery list at home when I get to the store, but because I wrote it down, I remember most of the items. That's the way I studied in school. If I wrote it down, I remembered it.
I send myself, when I'm driving, I send myself email messages, voice email messages back and forth when I come up with an idea or a thought, and if I don't write something down, I will forget it for sure. So, does PPL, I think I know the answer to this, you carry most of the essentials, don't you? And a pretty good supply of them, but as soon as the first hurricane or Gulf storm gets close to Houston, you're out probably like that.
It is. And, things like generators. I own a generator, and it's not a whole house generator that's going to keep my whole house going. It's big enough to keep my RV going, which is all that really matters, because I have a towable travel trailer. But the little generator, you don't want to wait till the last minute. But the other thing you don't want to do is not have gas, the gas tanks full, or not have gas tanks. I bought my generator last year, and we realized last week when we were getting ready for this storm that we didn't have gas tanks, so we went and got some.
I can't believe that. It wasn't on your list. But now I guarantee you now it is. But you know what? And if you have a generator, folks, if it's been more than 60 days since you started it, start that little bugger up and make it run. Don't you think, Diana?
Oh, definitely. You should have drained the fuel out of it when you weren't using it. And go ahead and start it, make it run. If you've got a problem, now is the time to find out, not when the electricity's out. So if you need a part or something, find out now. And don't use gasoline that's been sitting in your garage for 2 years or longer. It's going to turn to lacquer in that container just like it would turn to a lacquer in your lawnmower or your generator.
Absolutely. So those fuel additives, they do make some good ones, and I'm not going to endorse any of them, but they do make them, and you might want to consider getting them, folks. So anyway, are you still looking? I mean, PPL, you're the largest consignment RV dealer in the galaxy. Are you still looking for units to sell? Are the buyers still coming in?
Oh, definitely. The buyers are coming in, and I do want more RVs to sell. I encourage you, if you own an RV and you aren't using it, let's get some use out of it. Give us a call. My team, I have an amazing team here at PPL, and they'll be happy to give you an idea of what we feel you'll be able to get as the market value for the vehicle. Bring it into one of our 3 convenient Texas locations, and we take care of the rest for you.
And you take RVs from I mean, Oregon, Washington, New York, from all over the place.
I do. People bring them in. As a matter of fact, I had one today that came in here, and it came from New Mexico. And I'm thinking it passed a lot of dealerships on the way just to get to us. I'm so excited.
All right, so in 60 seconds, no more, I want you to speak to the soon-to-be RV owner, maybe the soon-to-be newbie, that why is a used RV maybe a better choice than buying a new one for the first-time RV buyer?
Because you're not going to like your first RV. That's a horrible thing for me to say, but your first RV, no matter how much homework you've done, you've watched your neighbors come and go every week. They're so excited, but they live different than you do. And you're going to realize when you go out, you and your family go out and go RVing, you're going to figure out what you want. You wish the bathroom was here. You wish it had a different bunk or whatever it is. You can't knock the walls out. But if you buy a used one 6 months, a year, 18 months down the road, you can sell that RV and still come out real good and buy the one of your dreams.
Heck yeah, that way you don't get that initial depreciation with an RV that you end up hating. So anyway, listen, we got to leave it there, but you gave me a really good idea about today's question of the day. We're going to ask another question and give away a $50 PPL prize package. So let me let you scoot, and we'll talk to you again next week, all right?
All right, guys. Have a great week.
You too. Thanks so much. That was Diana LeBlanc Link from PPL Motorhomes. As I said, they're the largest consignment RV dealer in the country, on the continent, on the planet. And before I do a little bit of promotion for them, here's my question. If you have everything in the way of being prepared for an emergency, you got all the essentials, and you could only take one more thing with you, what would that be? If you had everything in the way of all the essentials, you know, your weather radio and your batteries and your food and your water and your toilet paper, all that stuff, you can only take one other thing that you don't really have to have, but you want to take it. What would that one thing be? Would it be a box of Oreos? Maybe a box of wine or a bottle of wine or a deck of cards? What would you take with you?